Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
This Thanksgiving, think outside the oven and get Thanks Grilling with Ace. Get a new grill and choose from top brands like Traeger, Weber, and Big Green Egg to add even more flavor to your Thanksgiving turkey, side dishes, and desserts. Plus, right now, get free assembly and delivery on all grills and accessories $3.99 and up. For the best help on the best grills, stop by your local Ace and get Thanks Grilling. Ace Rewards members only through December 24th. See participating stores for scheduling or exclusions.
Episode 1768 of the #1 podcast in Apple Podcasts for Job Search. No BS Job Search Advice Radio. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to another Friday. We've made it through the work week, and I'm just going to simply say this is a fun show because recruiters are still working, right? You're getting calls from recruiters who are asking to talk to you about jobs, right? And some of them are going to ask you, let me ask you a question. Where have you been on interviews? And this is the way to respond to them. Hope you find it helpful and give it a great review wherever you listen to the show. And now, let's get going, okay?
Someone messaged me in dismay, asking or commenting that a recruiter had asked her where she'd been on interviews so far. And she was uncomfortable answering the question. What should she have done? Now, I've got two ways of addressing this. And one is your guard being up when an agency recruiter is calling you is a good thing. Now, I'll simply say part of the reason is some of them are actually being forthright. They want to know if you've met with their client, and they are reluctant to share who their client is for fear that you're going to take that information and go directly to their client and apply for a job. I understand that. I got screwed multiple times until I got it through my thick head that not every person I was talking with was considerate of me or honest with my services. So I stopped being willing to tell people who my client was. Conversely, for you as the job hunter, you certainly don't want to waste time talking to a recruiter who's already, when you've already been presented to their client. So there's kind of a bind here. And after I address how to answer the question, I'll add to the binds. Actually, let me just add to the bind some more right now. And that is, not every recruiter is honest. And like I gave the example of some job hunters would take my information and apply directly. Well, there's some recruiters who will take that information and try and get the job to work on and try and fill so that they can earn a commission. Hence the bind. What do you do? How do you address this kind of situation? The answer is, no disrespect intended, but I don't know you from a hole in the wall. And I'm uncomfortable telling you who my client is. Well, I can't present you. Well, give me an idea of what industry they're in and what town they're in. They're in banking in New York. Now, obviously in New York, there's a lot of banks in New York. So I'm trying to give you a way that you can kind of break this down. Now, understand, if you're a junior individual, you're more likely to be in a commoditized job. By that, I mean a job where a firm has lots of people who do what you do. On the other hand, if you're more senior, you'll start to recognize the job description, and you might just simply say, is this a position with so-and-so? If so, someone has already spoken with me about this role. And they'll respect you for handling it in that way, because they can then turn around and say, it's not that job, or yes, I have that job, but I have one very similar to it. Notice how to play this. Once you know the industry and the city, you can then say, if you're a senior, is it the position with such and such where they're looking for a manager of whatever? Now, if this is a large firm, it's hard for an agency to get on the vendor list, to be able to get paid if they steal the lead. If it's a smaller firm, it's different. They might be able to do it. But I digress for a second. Let me go back to the less experienced person who's in the role for which the organization has lots of people, whether that's a developer job, an accounting job, an admin job, whatever it is. There's just lots of them in the organization. And we've now gone bank in New York. Okay. Could you give me the first letter of the bank's name? They say B, just for the sake of argument. Could you give me a couple of choices of banks beginning in B, and I'll tell you which ones I've spoken with or know I've been presented to. Now, what you're trying to do is narrow the scope from them when they're offering up choices. And the idea becomes they have to ultimately open up and then get to match you. At the point you're playing the guessing game with them, where you're asking them to do this kind of stuff, be honest if that's a firm that you've been presented to or a recruiter spoken with you about. Why? This is probably a contingency recruiter. As such, they're only paid if they refer you and that you get hired. If you've already been presented, the likelihood is that they won't be able to get the interview for you anyway. It's a waste of their time and effort. It's pointless. There's no benefit to you. All you do is screwing them out of time, which is the only thing that they have, the time to work on these job leads. So the way to play it is if you're senior, you identify where you've been presented after you've narrowed the scope of possibility. For the junior individual, you're looking at it from the standpoint of, okay, we've got the industry in the city, and I use the New York example. First initial of the firm, B. Okay, bank of what? Give me the next part of it. the next letter in that title, at which point they can say, no, it's not bank of whatever it is. It's the first letter is a B of this organization. Great. I haven't been presented to any firms in that with that already banks that begin with a B. And thus you've been able to respect one another, as uncomfortable as the dance is, but you've also avoided being risking the potential of being cheated.
So that's today's show. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, here are a few more ways to get information and advice from me. First of all, there's my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us. I have more than 8,000 blog posts there that you can watch, listen to, or read that will help you find your next job. In addition, if you're interested in my coaching you, at the site there's a button there that says schedule. Schedule time for a free discovery call, schedule yourself in for coaching, interview preparation coaching, salary negotiation advice, coaching related to hiring more effectively, managing and leading, helping you to be a better executive in your organization, and overall being a better employee of your firm. If you have questions for me, you can ask them at Wizio.com/The Big Game Hunter. That's WISIO.com/The Big Game Hunter. The price at Wizio is less than 1/3 of what I'm charging at my website. And I'm doing this because I want to benefit my subscribers here and on YouTube, and only you're going to know about it. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn at LinkedIn.com/IN/The Big Game Hunter. Mention that you watched or listened to my content. I like knowing I'm helping folks. Once we're connected, it's nice to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you from time to time about how I'm helping. You can also watch me on TV. Did you know that? If you have a Fire TV or a Fire Stick, download the JobSearch TV app for Apple TV, Roku, Sony, Samsung, like 90 different TV platforms. You can watch me on either Zingo TV or BingeNetworks.tv. On YouTube, subscribe at JobSearch.TV.com and have access to thousands of videos I've created. I'll be back tomorrow with more, and in the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Be great!
Haverty's Furniture is here to help you get set for the season with up to $1,000 off. So you can set the stage with style and set the bar more beautifully. So why not settle in together on a new sofa? Because being at home doesn't mean having to settle for less. Even though the holidays feel a little different this year, Haverty's Furniture can help you create the perfect holiday setting with up to $1,000 off plus 0% interest.
Does anybody want breakfast? Guys, let's go. I'm leaving for McDonald's in 5 seconds. Why didn't you start with that?
The Breakfast Stampede Meal. It's only at McDonald's, where there's a meal for every morning.
And nothing says morning like a classic sausage McMuffin with egg. Right now, get this all-time favorite for just $2 on the $1, $2, $3 menu. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.